Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Vicki Howie of ChakraBoosters.com, the creator of Chakra Boosters Healing Tattoos. And today, I hope to take you on a bit of a journey. You see, we have reasons that we have patterns of chakra weakness in our bodies. My pattern was that I was in my upper chakras, but my lower chakras were weaker and my root chakra was the weakest. So the reason we get these patterns is threefold. First, we bring in patterns from past lives. Second, we get patterns through our DNA. On a cellular level, we get patterns and fears from our ancestors. And then finally, and the one that I'm going to talk about in this video today, is we get certain needs met or not met in the first 7 years of our life, and these needs are basic needs. And when they're met or not met, we then have strategies and ways that we try to get them met, and in doing so, we also often shut down certain chakras. So we're going to look at all of the chakras in this series, and I'm going to give you some questions to ponder about your childhood. So get settled in, get a glass of water or a cup of tea if you'd like, and let's go deep. Let's really go deep. Now, the first thing I want you to realize is when you're very, very little, you're totally dependent, right? You become less dependent as time goes on, but certainly in the first 7 years of our life, we're very dependent. At first, we're extremely dependent to get our most basic needs of getting our diaper changed and ourselves fed and being able to sleep, having enough quiet to sleep. Those basic needs, getting those met are very, very important. As we get a little bit older, we start to socialize. It becomes more important that we're accepted, more important that we're loved. Babies, though, do need to be touched, even very, very young babies. This has been shown. There's a failure to thrive syndrome if we aren't touched as babies. So we all need that as well. But then there becomes this need for like social approval or feeling like we're part of the tribe, part of our family, that we're not an outcast or a black sheep. There's many different needs, and I'm going to go over them right now, chakra by chakra. But what I want you to think about is there's two very different ways that we can deal with needs, important ones, when they come up in our life. The first thing you can do is you can make that need very, very important, and you try to control it in your external environment. So if you didn't get a lot of attention, say, which is a big point in your third year of development when you're 3 years old and developing your solar plexus chakra. If you didn't get seen and you didn't get appreciated for who you were, then you might feel like you need attention even as an adult, and you make it really important, and you try to control situations where you're trying to get attention. So the first thing is we try to control it and we make it important, and we just make it overly important, really important, and then we try to control it in our external environment. The other way, interesting, we humans are such a paradox. The other way that we deal with not having our needs met is the exact opposite. We decide to make it extremely unimportant. We convince ourselves, in order to survive, we convince ourselves we don't need this thing we didn't get. So we make it very, very unimportant. And if you look in our life, there's nowhere in our life where we're even trying to gain it. In fact, giving the same example of wanting attention, we may be hiding from attention because we never got our attention needs met. So I want you to really notice, because those are absolutely polar opposite responses. And both are true, and sometimes people vacillate between both. So think about, as I go through these needs, first, whether the need got met or not in your personal history. And then second, whether you've made it really important for it to get met, or whether you've made it completely unimportant in your life, like you don't care. Okay? If you've made it really important, you're going to need to be aware of that, because that's putting yourself at the mercy of the external environment. And if you've made it really unimportant, you want to pay attention to that, because these are basic needs, and they actually are important in the human psyche. They're very important. If we made them unimportant, we're missing a basic part of our lives that we have to give it some gravitas. Does that make sense? Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go chakra by chakra, And we're going to look, and I need you to maybe get a piece of paper, because I think you're going to want to remember what we're going through here, because this is pretty deep stuff. Okay, so the first chakra is the root chakra. Most of you know that's the chakra that is the densest, slowest red chakra, and it is the earth element. So it's earth. It's about steadiness. And when we first come into this earth plane, and we come from a completely different plane, the spiritual plane, into a body with no owner's manual, we are totally and utterly dependent on our caregivers. Totally dependent. Every single one of us. So we need for our basic needs to be met. And the first one in the root chakra is the need for safety, which is also a need for the known. Think about when you're watching a horror film. What is so scary? The animal that's really crazy and CGI, or is it the fact that you don't know what's coming around the next corner? More often than not, we're really most frightened by that which we don't know, because we have a basic primal need to know and feel safe. So when we first come into this planet, we need to feel safe, and we need to begin to know that we'll be fed and clothed and held, because babies even need touch. They will fail to thrive without touch. We need all of these things. And it's time for you now to ask yourself this question, or I'm going to ask you a few questions actually. Were your safety needs met in your first year of life, or from womb, or even in the womb? I was actually regressed in the womb, and it was quite an experience. Someone regressed me to back in the womb. So you may have some access to that as well. Was it safe in your womb? Was it safe for the first, which is actually 2 years until you turn 2, the age 2, because we're counting all the time that you are either 0 or 1. That's all related to this most basic need of, were you safe? Was your environment safe? Were you fed regularly? Were you held regularly? Were you clothed properly? Were temperatures right for you? Was there disturbances energetically? Was there a lot of fighting in the family, or was it a peaceful environment? Were your parents loving, and were you held? This will come up again in the heart chakra, but let's talk about it here, because we even need touch to survive. Failure to thrive syndrome tells us that babies need touch to actually survive. So did that little baby you feel safe? Was your family living in one place? Because the known is important. Or even if they were living in one place, were you in one particular room, or were you sharing a room? Was there maybe monetary issues in the family and you were sharing the room with more kids, or you were in your parents' bedroom, or your bedroom got moved around, you were just in a crib and it got moved around? What of these things do you know? What of your story do you know from childhood? And just ask yourself intuitively, was I safe? Was I safe? That's an important question. If you weren't safe, remember, your tendency is going to be to either make safety super important in your life right now, which is when we really make root chakra important, or it's going to be that you make root chakra unimportant and safety unimportant, which means you're kind of a free spirit and you say, you know what, I risk it all. I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me if it's not safe, or you act very brave. Both of these are compensations, so I want you to recognize both of them. Can you see those? Either one or the other, or a skipping back and forth. Usually we polarize and pick one, but I don't want to disclude those of you that do both. And perhaps your safety needs were met. Maybe you have a good balanced root chakra and your safety needs were met. When one tries overtly really hard in their external life to get the need of safety met, what it tends to look like is you stay in jobs and relationships and other important situations way past their expiration date. Does that make sense? So you're afraid to make a change. You want to stick with the safe and the known. So If that is the case, just notice that. The healthy version, because we all do need safety, it's a basic need that needs to be met. And if it wasn't met as a child, you can now go to your inner child and tell your inner child you are safe. Okay, but first let's talk about what it looks like, and then I'll go to that. What it looks like when it's balanced, when it's not being met, the need for safety is not being met, and you're trying to meet it as an adult in artificial ways, you're not really acknowledging you even have the need, it will be you staying in situations too long, well past the expiration date. Is that you? The reason we need this, and the positive result of it, is you have a good, healthy, positive relationship with safety. You will stay with things as long as they are productive, and you'll really fight for things if you love them and you want to master them. So you will stay long enough to master things. But if something is erosive in your life and it's not good for you to stay, and the expiration stamp is on it, you're going to leave that situation because you're not afraid of the unknown. You're not afraid to change. Does that make sense? So you can tap on this. You guys know I love tapping. I've got a few other tapping videos on the site, so you can just look for those. And I'll also leave some in the description. But I also like doing work with your inner child. So you can always, at any moment, just close your eyes. Right now, you can even close your eyes and you could hold your little 1-year-old baby, the little infant you. You could hold you and you could tell you, just repeat after me to this little baby, you're safe. You're safe, dear one. You're precious, dear one. I am here. I am here for you. And just hold that little baby you really close until that baby you feels your presence. Because what happens sometimes is when we're young, we have a higher self, we have a spiritual self, but we're so caught up in our own development that we tend to split. We even just feel this part of where we can't feel that part of ourself for ourselves. So now when we have access to it, we need to go back to the baby us, to the little one, that 1-year-old, and say, I'm here for you. You're safe. I've got your back. That's a big one. I've got your back. Can you feel that? I just love this work. Take back your inner child of 1 year old. Give it lots of love. So if this is an area for you that you really see yourself in the safety issue area, either you are making it totally unimportant, in which case if you're totally making it unimportant, then you probably have a weak root chakra and you're in denial even about that. So what I'd invite you to do there is you still do the inner child work, but it might be really hard for you to do the inner child work. So also you can do any of my root chakra exercises on this channel and start to make safety, just start to look around your life and say, where is basic safety important? Like you wouldn't walk off of a building or a deck, right? You wouldn't put your hand on a hot stove. Basic safety is important. So feel that part of you that wants to feel safe and deserves to feel safe. Okay, so the root chakra is a masculine chakra. It's a masculine chakra, and it's about staying and safety. It's the opposite of change. It's the roots. Think about it, growing into the ground. They're what hold the tree and allow it to grow as high as it wants to grow. So think of that steadiness of the root. The sacral chakra, the second chakra, its strongest part of development happens at age 2. So when we turn 2. And the sacral chakra is the divine feminine that's all about change. It's literally the opposite, since we are in the lowest 2 chakras. And the chakras are in our body, which is in a dual world. They are the most different at the bottom. The root and the sacral are literally opposites. So whereas the root is all about sameness, the need in the sacral chakra is actually variety and change and play and intimacy with another. Because that's how we begin to get that change, because someone outside of us gives us something different. Feel into that. It's the water element in the hips, your sacral chakra. It's orange, and it's about change. Because once we have sameness and we understand order, or we feel a certain amount of safety, life would be utterly boring if we didn't have variety. So that's why little kids can play peekaboo all day long. Have you ever played peekaboo with like a 2-year-old? They will play peekaboo with you until you drop dead. They never get bored of peekaboo. You can do it for an hour and they will still be laughing every time you reappear. Part of it is because of object permanence may have not kicked in yet, and they're so surprised that you keep disappearing and showing up. But another part of it is just that they endlessly are in this newness phase, and they have such a desire for change that on-off button of see you, not see you, see you, not see you just gets them going. So your need when you were 2 years old, dear one, can you feel into that little 2-year-old? Your need was to have some play and variety, to have some change. And this is also the chakra of emotions. So this is where you need to be allowed to change your emotions, to feel sad and happy, and to have different weather go through your body, different weather, right? So what was it like for you at 2 years old? Did you have playful, loving caregivers who interacted with you a lot and let you feel, because the sacral is 2, right? So it's all about this dyad of exchanging play, exchanging variety, mixing things up. You feel that? And it's about allowing the emotions to flow and let there be lots of variety. Remember, variety is the spice of life. So feel into your childhood. Were your parents very stoic? Were your caregivers very stoic? Or did you have at least 1 or 2 people that really interacted with you? Were they judgmental or trying to shut you down even at the early age of 2, telling you what not to feel and what not to do? Or were they playful and giving you a green light to feel your feelings and to be happy or sad and to interact with them? This is a very important chakra right now on the planet. We've come into a goddess age where this sacral chakra is extremely important. We're coming also into a time of so much enlightenment that the ability to deal with variety and change is paramount. It's paramount because things are changing. And if we don't ride with the waves, then we're just going to feel like we're drowning. So we need to ride with the waves. So what was it like for you at 2 years old? And how important do you make, and I forgot to ask you before, how important do you make safety? I don't think I asked you that one. That's always a good question, to say how important do you make it. And remember, you can either make it unimportant, too important, or not important at all. We want to be in the middle of the scale because these are needs, true needs. You have a need for variety and you have a need for stability. You have a need to be safe and you have a need to feel challenged and to be in a flow of change and to feel your own emotions changing within you. So how important is variety and play and change and emotions to you? How important are they? Are you scared of them? And of course, 2 is the intimacy chakra. We learn from that first caregiver who holds us and reflects us back to ourselves. We learn how important it is. Intimacy, to be with another person. So are you okay with intimacy? And how important is it to you today? And what would you do to have intimacy, to stay close with another person, or would you run away? Just check into these feelings right now. So not surprisingly, when somebody tries too hard to control this need, the need for this playful, well, actually, we're just going to say the need for variety and change, the larger need. There's a more intimate need for there to be change and growth and reflective feedback from one person, but the larger need is just change. So the root chakra is about stability, and the larger need of the sacral chakra is about change. So how do you deal with change? Because the sign that we're not so good here and that we're trying to control it, we're trying to control change, like we really need it really bad. I've got to have change. I've got to have change. I've got to have change, is that we do the opposite of what I said for the root. The root, I said people stay in situations too long, past their expiration date. If you're addicted to change and the need to have variety and change all the time, you are going to leave relationships and jobs and other important situations prematurely. You see that? They just cross each other. You leave them prematurely. And this can be disastrous because it doesn't allow you to really grow in anything. It doesn't allow you to build longer-term relationships, longer-term work, longer-term mastery. The good, however, though, when we're in the middle, we're in the healthy, where we're not afraid of change and we're not making it everything in our life, that we have to have it all the time. When we're in that middle place of balance, positive relationship with change looks like we're young. We have this, we're willing to experiment and try new things, and we just keep a real youthful, playful attitude, and we connect pretty easily with other people because we love intimacy and our own emotions, and we can allow people to be in whatever they're in. We're flexible. Feel that? So that's what that looks like. So what was your situation when you were younger? And if you feel like you're now addicted to change or avoiding a change, you might go down to your child, that little 2-year-old child, and now imagine sort of a little past 2, moving around, walking around, playing, and play with your child. I'm here to play with you. Tell your child, I'm here to play with you. Yes, I'm here to play with you. Peekaboo. And literally do peekaboo with that little 2-year-old. And tell that 2-year-old, how do you feel? However you feel is okay with me. Just say that one, because when you say it out loud, it's so much stronger. Hold that baby, or put this baby in good places right on your shoulders, or hold your baby here and carry him or her around and at 2 years old, and just tell this little one, whatever you feel is okay with me. All of your feelings, share with me. I want to hear your feelings. I want to play with you. I'm right here for you. I'm going to be here the whole time. So again, there's a steadiness of the root chakra carried in, that I'm going to be here, but now it's I'm going to be here to play and bring change and bring intimacy into your life. Feels good, huh? Doesn't it? So that is for age 1 and age 2 for root chakra and sacral. The last of the lower chakras, the chakras that are based in our physical reality, is the solar plexus chakra, the yellow chakra that's related to our power, our personal power, our identity, our ego, our mental clarity, our decision-making, action-taking, motivation, all of that. This is the warrior chakra. And this is also responsible, this chakra, for the terrible twos. Kids don't actually get the terrible twos like right when they turn 2. It's more close to the 3rd birthday, at least in the second half of their 2nd year typically. And if you've got a 2-year-old who's starting early, it's probably going to get worse. I hate to tell you that, but it probably is. Okay. Because it's about the fact that they're in the easygoing water. We all are in the water chakra development when we're 2 years old, but as we get close to 3, we move toward the fire, the solar plexus, which is all about independence. And the need here is significance. So there's a need for significance, personal power. You need to know that you matter. We all need to know that we matter. Now, because there's a fear of ego in a lot of the spiritual realms, we often try to put the ego down and put being humble way up. But the truth is that we all matter. And when we remember that everyone matters equally, we can all matter and all be glorious pieces of the divine without anyone being less than. But in our culture, we often want to make others less than, like in order to have there be, so we can feel okay, or others try to make us feel less than so that they can feel okay. It's just basically this situation of not recognizing our true importance, our true significance. And many of us were told we need to be seen as well. This is the seeing chakra, the vision chakra of the visual seeing, like actually literally seeing someone. So we need to be seen. If you ever go to a park and you hear little kids all the time, look at me, Mom, look at me, Dad, look at me, look at me. That look at me doesn't just happen at 3, but the basis of it really opens up. The development of it opens up at 3. A child needs to be seen, especially by his or her parents. So this basic need for significance, what does this do when you're in your childhood? Well, you need to look and you need to say, did you matter? Did you matter in your home? Did you matter? Did you feel like you mattered is really the more important thing. Were your parents expressive of telling you you mattered? Did they give you opportunities when you were 3 years old to do some things like, could you handle some of your own potty training? Could you go get a toy, or did they help you, ask you to put away a toy? Did you have a little bit of autonomy? Were you taught autonomy, or were you taught not to be autonomous? And were you taught were you listened to in a way that even your opinion, because opinions are solar plexus chakra. So I know that 3-year-olds don't have a lot of opinions, but they certainly have a, no, I don't wanna, and that kind of stuff. So was any of that honored? Like, were there boundaries, or was it just all, stop it, don't do it? And if you were to get up on a party when you were a little child and you danced on the table, would your parents take a picture and say, wow, look at you dance? Or would they tell you, get down from there, shame on you, right? Because we all need to be able to dance on the table. We need to know that we matter. There's this little child in us. And where did your artwork go whenever you did artwork? Was it proudly displayed on the refrigerator, or did it go in the garbage can, right? These kinds of things really reflect back on us as to whether we matter. So what was your environment like? Were you one child of many, so you didn't feel like you mattered as much? Or were you the child, but even though you were the child, were your parents so busy with work you didn't matter? Did you feel you mattered? Were you scolded when you tried to be seen, or were you seen? Did you feel like you could get your parents' attention? Were the things you made or did honored, or were you given autonomy? All of these are important questions to know whether your need for significance was being met when you were 3 years old. When this need is trying to be controlled as an adult. Now remember, you could make mattering, this is I gave the example early on, when you are having some issues with not having been seen as a 3-year-old, you might make it matter too much that other people see you and make you important, when in actuality it's you. You want you to see you as important. That's when we become adults, it becomes us that we want approval from. We think we want it from others, but we really want it from ourselves. So that's why we're going to visit the 3-year-old child. But I also want to tell you that there's the other way where we make it really unimportant. And I see this all the time in spiritual circles. We take a very real need to be seen, to be significant, to have some autonomy and power. We take that very real need and we make it wrong in the spiritual communities and as an adult. And so then we think we don't want to be seen, so we hide a lot. And this is very interesting in a social media world, this hiding, because it doesn't work very well, right? But ask yourself, do you do that? What do you do? How do you behave? Because when someone is trying to get this need met in the external world, typically it pulls up a lot of fire. Remember, the opposite is to hide. So either you're hiding or you're doing what I'm saying right now, which is you make your job status important even if you don't want the job. Like you just try to climb the ladder. You try to be right in conversations with a partner or something. You show off. You seek fame, which is also like seeking any kind of status. You seek external approval. Basically, that's just the bottom line. Even if you have to almost fake it to get it, you're seeking approval. Or you may really be doing it, but when you think about it, you're doing it only for the approval, like going after a job that you don't really love all that much, but your family will think you're more important, or your partner will, or whomever, or society. So how does it look when it's a healthy, right? You're neither hiding, unhealthy is hiding or showing off or all those other things I said, and then the middle is it's a healthy relationship with being seen but not needing to be seen, being able to be seen and seeing yourself and acknowledging your own excellence and striving for excellence. One of the 4 agreements is from Don Miguel Ruiz, is to always do your best. That is part of significance. Significance knows, healthy significance is I want to do my best. So let's go to this 3-year-old child, and I want you to go to this 3-year-old child and now let the 3-year-old child have autonomy. Like, just stand in front of him or her and say, I see you. And it just takes a second. You don't have to be hypnotized. Just visualize. You can close your eyes. It makes it easier. Visualize your 3-year-old self in front of you and say, I see you. And really see him or her. Look at them. Look at this little one. And you mean I see you in that I see you and I appreciate you and I love you. I see you. Like, I really see the beauty in you. I see you. You're powerful. Tell this little one, you can do it. I know you can do it. I believe in you. I see you. Now, whatever you feel like doing, you might want to pick that child up, you might want to play, you might want to jump on top of a table and dance with your child. Whatever spontaneously you feel like you want to do, you go for that. But what's really key here is that you just acknowledge this very natural need for significance, and you give it to the little one within you, and you just give it to your precious self. You matter. You matter. The odds that any one of us is born, any one of us are born, or one of us is born, I think it's one of us is born, the odds are just staggeringly against us, just staggeringly against us. So the fact that we're alive and nobody else is us and nobody else has our DNA or our soul, we are an absolute unique entity that will never exist again, that makes each and every one of us important. And we have special gifts and we take a special place on this planet. So you're significant. All right. So those are the lower chakras. That's a lot. This is a lot to go through. So I'm going to end here for this video and bring you part 2 for the heart and the upper chakras. Thank you for being on this journey with me and for going deep. I hope you were taking notes and getting to know yourself better and really healing that beautiful inner child within you. We all need to trust that whatever our upbringing was, whatever we experienced as a child, it made us who we are, and we're perfect as we are. But now is the time for us to heal ourselves, to use our own knowledge, our own love, our open heart chakra to heal our own self, our own inner child. I love this work for that reason, and I want you to be aware we're not fixing anything ever. We're simply living more and more into the wholeness of who we really are. And like I said, I'm really glad you're on this journey, and I will see you on the next video. Blessings.